But this is just a pretty simple concept for the turkeys, and it worked really good. Like I said, 21 to 34 pound turkeys. I mean, that's just huge. I had a lot of questions asked since I did the video last week on processing our turkeys. I'm going to link that video right here. So if you guys want to go click and watch that video on how we process our turkeys, you can go ahead and watch that. A lot of the questions themselves were kind of on the turkeys themselves and how we raise them. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you a quick little overview in this video. So the breed of the turkey was a broad-breasted white turkey, and they came from Ridgeway Hatchery in Ohio. Down in the show notes below, I'll put the link to the website if you want to go check them out. The first batch of turkeys we did, which are the ones you guys saw in the video, those were 19 weeks old. Those two turkeys weighed 21 and 24 pounds when they were all said and done. The following weekend, I did the other two turkeys that we had, so they were 20 weeks old, and they weighed 31 and 34 pounds. Pretty big turkeys. I'll have to take you guys in and I'll have to show you the birds, what they look like now. So this is a 34 pound monster. They're a big turkey. They're almost too big, I think. I like the 21 to 24 pound range. So next year I'll have to process the turkeys probably around 18 to 19 weeks. How we raise them is that right here behind me. I got our chicken tractors that I built. So we kept the turkeys in one of the chicken tractors. We moved them once to twice daily. Most of the time it was 2 times daily in the summer. Once we hit the fall time and the grass wasn't growing as quick, I just moved them once a day. So they've been out on fresh pasture all year, growing, eating grass, eating bugs, loving it. The meat is delicious. The other thing we were doing, believe it or not, I fed them grain, but I didn't get too fussy. I don't know how much grain I fed them, to be honest with you. I was just feeding them organic egg layer pellets. I didn't get special grain for meat birds or for turkeys. I just said I'm going to keep this simple. I like simple things. I'm just going to feed them the same thing that I feed the egg laying chickens. So I just fed them the organic pellets. Keep it simple, right? It worked. We got 21 to 34 pound turkeys in 19 to 20 weeks. I mean, it did awesome. You don't have to worry about what kind of grain you feed them. You don't got to worry about the protein content and this crude content and all the stuff. Just have them out on pasture. They can get what they need off the grass and off the land, and then feed them a good grain. That's the big thing. So now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to show you inside of the turkey or chicken tractor, whatever you want to call it. This is kind of my own design, so if you want, I'll leave a link here right now for how I built these, and I'll kind of give you an overview. But we'll go in and I'll show you how it's all set up. The main design of the shelter is these hoop panels. These are just cattle panels. I made my frame out of 2x4s, framed them up with the end walls, and then I put a header, and I just bent the panels up and around. You could probably make it a little bit wider and it wouldn't add any more weight. Next time I built one, which I don't know if I'll need to build any of this coming spring, but next time I do build one, I'm going to try to go a little bit wider. It's not going to add any more weight. The only thing it will do is it'll cut down the height, and that was kind of one of my big concerns, but this has worked really good. We've been able to raise our laying hens out here on pasture, our meat birds on them, our ducks, and our turkeys. We have 3 of them going when we need them in the springtime. So I just did a simple water nippler hooked up on the outside to a 5-gallon pail, and then I just got the feeder right here, and I just keep that filled with feed for them all day long, and then I move them every day. I try to keep it moved twice a day, once in the morning before I go to work, and then when I get home from work I move them again. We have greenhouse plastic on this. A lot of people gave me a hard time about that. It's going to heat up. Where we are in northern New Hampshire, in the springtime it's cold, the fall it's cold and snowy. The greenhouse plastic worked awesome for us. You can just roll up the sides and it's about halfway rolled up and you get plenty of airflow. If you live in a warmer climate, don't use the plastic. I'll go show you the ones where we put the meat birds in when we raise them because they're a little bit more finicky for heat. But this is just a pretty simple concept for the turkeys, and it worked really good. Like I said, 21 to 34 pound turkeys. I mean, that's just huge. Hopefully the 34 pounder fits in our oven. We're gonna find out. We're doing a Friendsgiving in January, and the 34 pound turkey we're saving for the Friendsgiving, so watch out. We'll let you know how that works. Here are the other 2 chicken tractors that I have here on the property that we've been using. This one over here is set up with a nest box in the back for the egg layers when we had them out on pasture. I'm going to change that setup for them and do something different this coming spring. And then over here, the one with the white tarp, that was the meat birds. I did more of a white top to reflect the heat because meat birds are more susceptible to heat stress and dying from heat. So I'm going to bring you over there and I'll show you that one right now. So when we built our house, we sourced the pine boards that we could all locally from a local mill, and we bought them in 4 foot by 4 foot by 16 foot long bundles. And this is the tarp that the wood was covered in. So we just repurposed it and we've used it for this. So that's why the sides are covered up as high as they are. This is what we had and it worked really good. The back we got a flap. Worked awesome for us. Probably go to a lumber yard and get the top or canvas, whatever you want to call it, that they have like a 2x6 pallet covered in. Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, any of that local lumber yards. I bet you would have them and give them to you easy enough. They probably just throw them in the trash. So other than that, the setup is pretty much the same as the one I did the turkeys in. You got the water in the back. I had the feeder hanging there. I just got the 5-gallon pail water just hanging there, so keeping it out from the weather. While we're over here, I'll show you the setup for the layers tractor. Same thing, I got a video on it. If I think of it, I'll put right here. I'll put the link to the video I have on making the nest box. It works good. It's definitely heavier to move around than the other tractors. That nest box, believe it or not, does give quite a bit of weight, and it's on the back where the wheels are, where you drag it, so you do feel it. So I hope I answered all your questions on the turkeys that we raised. If I didn't, leave them down in the comments below. I want to say thanks for watching, and we'll see you right back here next time at Lumna Acres. I definitely like having a killing cone, harvesting cone, whatever you want to call it, on my tractor. Adjustable height-wise, the birds do weigh a good amount, so instead of having to try to get a big bird if it's fighting me off at this height. And it's that time, we're going to stop processing some of our turkeys. I went ahead and I ordered by Wright Farm Products the biggest turkey processing cone they make. The turkeys are pretty big. This is up to 40 pounds. I'm hoping the turkeys fit in it. Pretty big and heavy. I'm going to be doing it myself today. So what I did is I mounted it on my tractor so I can put them in low, and then I can raise it up and I can get the turkeys to a higher height. There's the tractor set up with the cone. I'll spin you over here. We're just going to hang them up for plucking. We got our, right here, we got our setup with our propane tank. Heating the water up for scalding. We got our table. We got the turkeys over here, so I'll go ahead and I'll show you the turkeys now. You can see how big they are. Some good sized birds. They'll make a good sized turkey for Thanksgiving, that's for sure. So you're going to want the temperature of your water around 145 degrees. Ours got a little bit too hot, so I'm just letting it cool off right now. We're up at 188, we were at 200, so it is cooling off. So let it cool off, I'll get it back to a stable 145. Then I'll get the turkeys out and we're going to start doing our first one. Now he's in the cone. They're upside down, they're relaxed, they're in a good position. The cone is big enough. As you can see, he is bleeding out very fast, so he's not feeling any pain now. If he does kick, it's just a reaction. He's not alive. He's lost all the blood, most of the blood out of his body, so he has no brain activity right now. It's pretty calm, pretty peaceful. anything that we do, even if we mess up, it's gonna be a lot more humane than at a factory butchering facility. So the first time you do it, you don't have to be all worked up and scared that you're gonna hurt the animal. This is a lot more humane for them. They never left the farm. They've always got to stay here. Now it's time to see if this big old bird is gonna fit inside the pot we have for the water so we can scald it and then start plucking it. This is gonna be interesting. I think next year I'm gonna need a bigger pot. This is what I have for this year, so we're gonna make it work. We'll get it to do. These are pasture raised. They got moved twice a day in the summer and once a day this fall onto fresh grass. Doesn't fit that good in there, but if we move it around, we can get the water up and cover the whole area. Now it's just time to start plucking away. You start with the harder feathers first, bigger feathers, and then get the little ones after. Now we got it off. Got it all plucked. There's still a few little feathers here and there. We got to clean it up a little bit better. We'll do that when we get it back in the house. We're gonna go ahead and gut it right now. Clean it all out. Then we'll stick it in a cooler, cool off with some ice water. We probably don't need to do that. Here in northern New Hampshire today, right now, it's 27 degrees out, so she's probably gonna cool off pretty good on her own. Sorry about the noise in the background. That is the hot water heating up again to do the next turkey. Plucking it was actually a lot easier than a chicken, believe it or not. The feathers came out a lot nicer. Find where the joint is, start working your way around it. Let the weight of the bird do all the work. Again, just like that, you can save your feet if you want to clean them up and peel them. Our scalding tank wasn't big enough, so they didn't get scalded, so I can't clean them up right now. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna compost from the composting pile. But a lot of people will clean them up, take the skin off, and they'll use them for making chicken broth and stocks. Just enough through to get to the inner layer, but don't cut too deep that you break open the membrane. It's kind of hard to explain it, but when you do one, you will understand. And I cut the nub right off, that's why I didn't worry about getting all the feathers. Again, there's a bone that it's connected to. Try to cut right up to a joint. And then you can snap it. And the better you get with that, the sharper your knife will stay actually. Because you're not cutting in bone, you're just doing all skin. You just want to work your hands inside. Freeing up all the membrane around. If you've never done one, the first time you do one, it'll make a lot more sense to you. And then once you got it freed up in there, you want to come around to the neck. I'm going to cut the neck right off. I don't save the neck, some people do. But you want to get all the esophagus and stuff free right now, so when you pull, you can pull all that out. I'll spin the bird around, make it easier for you guys to see what I'm doing here. So I just slit the skin of the neck open. Then inside here, you got 2 cords. One's the esophagus and one's the windpipe, I believe. Just want to free all that stuff up so you can pull it through the backside. There's a membrane around it. If you get that broken up nice, it'll pull through nice and easy. Alright, so that's the crop area. That's full of all the food and whatever it's been eating. Thinking we get a lot of grass in here. Yep. So believe it or not, these guys are all out on pasture lately. So the crop is going to be full of whatever it's been eating. Now, I would say that's a pasture-raised bird right there. Alright, so now that we get all that freed up on the other side, we should be able to pull it all out and through. So esophagus. The heart. I'm going to say the turkeys are definitely easier to butcher than chickens. They're a lot easier to pluck than chickens. So if you haven't raised any animals and you're thinking something to raise, a turkey's not a bad idea either. They're easier. I think one of the reasons they're easier to take care of is they're bigger. So when you go inside and to gut them, you got a lot more room to work with. The feathers seem to come out a lot easier. They're a little bit more intimidating, I think, just the size of them when you go in to do them, but they're a lot easier, faster. We got the second gizzard from the other turkey I just did. Just curious to see what's inside this one. Again, also some stones, a little bit of grain, but mostly grass. This pot is definitely not my most enjoyable pot. I enjoy raising them. That's the fun part. This is just a pot that we have to do. It respects them. It gives us the food that we really want and need. I think it's a good thing to keep you conscious about your food and what it takes to keep you alive physically and mentally. If you want to live intentionally and consciously, I think this is definitely a good way to start doing it, is to grow your own food. Then you got to think about it that when you're able to have life, some other life form has to die. If you are a vegetarian and you don't agree with eating meat because you have to kill an animal, I will say everything that you eat, you are killing something. Whether it's a carrot, a carrot was alive at one point. Maple syrup, a tree's alive. Goes on and on and on. If you don't think the carrot was alive at some point, what about all the microorganisms that it took to grow it in the soil that we've killed? Or if you're rototilling, how many earthworms did you kill to rototill your garden? So I mean, the whole thing with vegetarians and vegans, that, oh, I don't want to take life. In order to us to sustain life, we have to take life, whether it's any form, whether it's grass, bugs, vegetables, everything is alive and living. So in order for us to live, we are taking life. And I think the Creator made it that way, so we would have to stop and think a little bit more. So that's why I said if you want to intentionally live, you have to respect all this stuff and think about it. So, until next time. So I hope you guys have a good Thanksgiving. And if you raise your own turkey this year for Thanksgiving, good for you. I think your Thanksgiving is going to mean a little bit more to you. I know ours will this year. So, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Share the video if you liked it. Give it a thumbs up, it helps. And we'll see you right back here next time at Lumna Acres.